overflow tents are now being set up outside LBJ Hospital in Houston, Texas, a site we thought we'd seen the last of. A new CDC forecast says COVID hospitalizations could quadruple by Labor Day to more than 33,000 admissions a day. This as healthcare workers are already overwhelmed with patients.
This morning, the Delta variant surging across parts of the South.
You're just seeing this firestorm across the South that's basically picking off anyone who's unvaccinated. A significant percentage now are going into hospitals and going into ICUs.
Overflow tents erected in Houston, and in North Texas, the region down to only 2 pediatric ICU beds. After banning mask mandates across the state, Texas Governor Greg Abbott now asking hospitals to stop non-emergency surgeries to make room for COVID patients.
At the Dandong Detention Center in northeast China, Canada's ambassador arrived Wednesday to hear the result of Michael Spavor's espionage trial. The verdict for the Canadian national, guilty. The sentence, 11 years. Businessman Spavor and fellow Canadian expat Michael Kovrig, a former diplomat, were arrested in 2018 on charges of spying. Since then, they've been held in isolation with almost no contact to the outside world. The pair's arrest came shortly after Canada detained Meng Wanzhou, chief financial officer of Chinese tech giant Huawei, on a U.S. extradition warrant over potential violations of sanctions on Iran. Beijing has repeatedly demanded Meng's release, calling her detention part of a U.S. attack on Chinese tech development.
We begin in Afghanistan, where the government has suffered further setbacks in trying to hold off the advance of the Taliban. The insurgents have reportedly seized the city of Ghazni, near just 150 kilometers from the capital, Kabul. U.S. intelligence reports say Kabul could come under attack within 30 days. The humanitarian crisis is deepening as tens of thousands are seeking safety without knowing where to turn.
Shaky and shocking video purports to show Taliban fighters celebrating victory after taking a town in Farah province in the west. They appear to be dragging the body of a killed opponent. In images too disturbing to show, they then throw the corpse into a pit and begin shooting at it.
More than 8,000 people in northern Germany were told to get another shot of their COVID-19 vaccine Tuesday after a police investigation found that a Red Cross nurse may have injected them with something else instead, a saline solution. The nurse is suspected of injecting salt solution into people's arms instead of genuine doses at a vaccination centre in Friesland in the early spring. While the liquid is harmless, most people who got vaccinated in Germany in March and April, when the suspected switch took place, are elderly and therefore at risk of catching the disease. Police investigator Peter Beer said that based on witness statements, there was a, quote, reasonable suspicion of danger.
Protests have broken out in Delhi over the alleged gang rape and murder of a 9-year-old girl. The girl, a member of the Dalit caste, the lowest in India's caste hierarchy, was killed in a crematorium in the city. Protesters are demanding justice for the girl and her family. Demands for the death penalty to be handed to her attackers are also being made. The girl had gone to the crematorium to fetch water over the weekend when she was allegedly raped by the crematorium priest and 3 other men. They then burned her body. All 4 have since been arrested.
Two men are in hospital after a train slammed into a truck at a level crossing in Melbourne's southeast. Locals are demanding action to fix what they describe as a dangerous intersection.
A truck and its trailer torn apart. after smashing through boom gates and into a train at Glen Iris Railway crossing. 35 passengers on board the train were forced onto buses. The high street level crossing isn't on the state government's list of 85 earmarked for removal. Locals say it should be. Residents have been pushing for the crossing to be removed, not only because they believe it's dangerous, but because it causes long peak hour delays, upsetting drivers and local businesses.
Meanwhile, Indian space and research organizations' highly anticipated launch of the Earth observation satellite 3 GISAT-1 has failed. The GSLV F-10 geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle had blasted off from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, but shortly after liftoff, the vehicle which was carrying the EOS-3 satellite suffered a technical glitch.
की गर्जना हम यहाँ बैठकर सुन सकते हैं। यह बहुत ही रोमांचक होता है। GSLV Majestic liftoff.
Now, a rocket is a combination of multiple engines that are vertically stacked. The first two stages of the rocket that give initial thrust for liftoff and later carry the 52-meter tall vehicle to space performed as expected. However, shortly after the rocket switched over to its final stage, that is the cryogenic engine that burns liquid hydrogen and oxygen, a deviation was marked in its planned flight path.